Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy, Salvation's Elite, and we are back with another video, guys. You know what this one is, man. The nerfs, the GAs, everything else, the drama that's been going down in the competitive COD community this week has been really obnoxious. I mean, my goodness. Again, the whole patch came through where Infinity Ward nerfed some of the MP5. They changed how the range and damage works on the 10mm ammo and the base range for the 9mm ammo as well. And then they nerfed the no stock attachment for the M4, the UZI, the MP7, and for the MP5, the FTAC collapsible stocks recoil is different as well. So there, and then that translated to the pros, talking about gentlemen's agreements, GAs, for the UZI, for the MP5. And so originally it started out with people using the UZI with the 0.41mm rounds or whatever, and then they were using the 10mm rounds on the MP5 like normal and trying to figure out which gun's better. But the pros did not like the UZI meta, and so they, gentlemen's agreement, they GA'd the 41mm rounds and the 10mm rounds and all ammo attachments as a whole for all weapons. So it basically seems like now that the UZI is nearly dead, pros have basically given up on it. The MP7 is potentially viable, and the MP5 is still reigning supreme because that's what the pros are feeling. So we're going to talk about all the classes that have changed today and where we're at with the GAs and everything else as well. So let's get right into it. Let's go. So let's talk M4 first because it's the most straightforward. So the no stock attachment on the M4 has now have significantly more recoil. The pros still like it overall, and in respawn, because it decreases the ADS time, makes the ADS time better so much, the no stock attachment is still viable for sure. And so there's a few different variations. So there's basically two, maybe three different variations depending on, you know, respawn or S&D that we can talk about. So here's the base one. Pretty basic, is exactly what you'd expect. The no stock, the M16 barrel, the compensator, the commando foregrip, and the stippled grip tape is the go-to respawn class for basically all pros. The variation of this class is the barrel. It's the Corvus barrel, so like what you're seeing right here. So like what you're seeing right here, just swapping out the M16 barrel for the Corvus. Some pros have been trying out, a lot of AMs have been trying it out, and I tried it and I really enjoyed it in our match last night. So it's something that maybe you want to try, give it a go, and see how you feel versus the M16 instead of respawn game modes itself. Now, this class right here is the S&D God class that I was using in our match last night. I'm posting a video about that on Arklov Peak about it because it was just so nasty. There is no recoil on this class. So you take off the no stocks, you play with a default stock, and then you replace that with a red dot sight of some sort. The Cronin mini reflex is usually the go-to, and this class fries, man. I highly recommend this inside of Search and Destroy. If you're a main AR, you could probably pull it off inside of a respawn because you're just posting up on head glitches and playing long lines of sight. It could definitely work because it's an absolute fry machine, especially with the nerfed M4 and the Uzis and the MP7s now. You're not getting touched by an SMG anywhere on any heady with this gun in your hand. So basically everything from the last pro setups video is the exact same when it comes to the M19, the perks, and everything else. The only possible consideration right now is that pros are still, as this video is going up, or as I'm recording this video, are still deciding on whether or not they're going to GA the knife, because the AM scene wants to GA the knife because the knife can get kind of spammy inside of smokes and in other situations. So they want to GA the knife, so you might not be able to run your knife on some certain classes and instead have to run the M19. Okay, so let's talk the SMGs. So this has been such a weird dilemma. I was gonna post this video yesterday, but then the pros announced while I was working on this video that they GA'd the ammo attachments, and I'm like, what? No. So now I'm not gonna be able to upload today, and you know, all of that went down real bad. So basically now this is where we're at with the default MP5 class right here. We're not 100% sure whether or not the pros are for sure a guaranteed going to maintain this for this ammo GA or not. If anything, we imagine that it would still be GA'd on the UZI, and it seems like the pros are just content using the MP5 at this point for overall. So I'll let you guys know down in the comments if anything changes on that. I'll pin my comment if anything changes with the GAs. This is the class we got right now. So we still have the FTAC collapsible. It's debatable though. I'm going to show you a variation class without the FTAC because it's something that, like, there is a lot more recoil on the FTAC than there was before. So we've got the FTAC collapsible, the compensator to make up for some of that recoil. Then we've got the operator foregrip, the stippled grip tape, and sleight of hands. This is definitely the go-to class now for all respawn, for basically all pros. It seems like the only variations is potentially a muzzle brake variation where some pros prefer the muzzle brake versus the compensator. So that is something to consider and maybe try out yourself. I personally prefer the compensator for sure, and it seems like pros are leaning that way, but some pros do like that muzzle brake a lot. So here's another variation I really do think is worth trying out at least, and maybe this is more for S&D because the ADS time and the movement is slightly worse, especially the movement versus the FTAC collapsible. But here is the close quarter stock variation setup. This is something that I think you can consider using, especially if you're really struggling with the recoil on the MP5. Then this is definitely viable. Even though it's a little bit slower movement overall, it might throw off your timing a little bit, and that's what I was noticing when I was using it, is that it was throwing off my slide canceling timings and things a little bit. But there is like no recoil on this thing, so I would have no problem using this in the search and destroy setting to make sure you hit your shots and get those kills. So let's talk MP7 and UZI. The MP7 still being considered by some pros as the gun that's viable, even though personally I don't think it really compares to the MP5 even without the 10mm ammo. This is the UZI class we got here. I mean, I don't think the UZI or the MP7 is that viable at this point with the MP5, but on the UZI you got the compensator, the FS Combine Pro, the Commander foregrip, the stippled grip tape, and the no stock attachment. And then on the MP7 you got the FFS Recon, you got the no stock, the sleight of hands, the stippled, and the operator foregrip. The operator could potentially be used on the UZI as well, but it kind of comes down to personal preference on that one. But realistically, at the end of the day, I really don't think either of these classes are going to be working out for pros unless they un-GA the ammo attachment for the UZI, because I did think that the UZI with the 41mm ammo or whatever it was called is somewhat better than the MP5 with 10mm ammo. But if the pros end up deciding to go with that GA, then I 100% believe that the MP5 will be the go-to gun with that, with one of those three variations of those setups moving forward for all pros. So I hope you guys now got the best classes in competitive Call of Duty to work with. These GAs are such a mess, man. It's so obnoxious that like we have to go like this because we can't get the support that we need from Infinity Ward at the end of the day. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, like, comment, favorite, subscribe. I really do appreciate that. And I'm trying to do this full time, and I cannot do that without you guys. So I really do appreciate it. And as always, I'm your boy, Salvation Elite, and we will see you next time. I'm out.